Why would God help black people destroy white supremacy just so we can replicate white supremacy? Doesn't make any sense. Go back to being who you're supposed to be and the universe will help you. Is hip hop cancer or culture? Black America is under demonic possession. I believe hip hop has been possessed by a demonic entity. I believe the black church is possessed by a demonic entity. I think snow bunny hoppers are possessed by a demonic entity. I'm serious.
I hear you. Once again, a safe space and a brave place where it's not about canceling, it's about counseling. And there's so much going on with this individual. I mean, we always have the internet ablaze, lots of conversations, because this gentleman is not just a public figure. He is actually the doctor of clinical psychology, a certified school psychologist, an author, an educator, would I say a school owner? A school,
Owner, operator, principal, CEO, CAO, chief academic officer.
You heard it, and the King Kong of consciousness, the one and only
Absolutely.
Dr.Umar
Yes,
Johnson.
sir.
Man, we keep going. Now, you're known for controversial statements.
Yes, sir.
And usually the hip-hop community is rocking with you.
Yes.
But as of lately, you guys have, the hip-hop community and yourself have come to a crossroads.
Yes, sir.
On a few issues. Specifically, you know, we recently celebrated the 50 years of hip-hop. And
can we have a white goat?
there's lots of debates within that. But one of the more prominent arguments, because we've been celebrating all that hip-hop has done for our culture. And you've made the statement that hip-hop has not done anything for the culture, but has maybe been a detriment to the black culture in many different areas. Would you care to expound on that? And again, I've often heard you say your favorite rapper is Tupac.
Tupac.
You've often, you know, you're a fan of hip hop, as we know.
Absolutely. Grew up in it.
But you don't think hip hop is service the black community in the way that it should.
In order to properly respond to your question, we have to make sure we understand what culture is. Culture is supposed to be progressive, positive. Culture is supposed to reaffirm the principles and the belief system of a people and a community. No one should ever have to question if a part of the culture is dysfunctional, parasitic, or degenerative. If you even have to question that, then we have to question whether or not the thing we're talking about is still a part of our culture. Culture supports the people, period. If it does not support the people, it's no longer culture, it's cancer. And so the question is hip hop a part of black culture, or is hip hop a cancer in black culture?
Wow.
More pointedly, Brother Nick Cannon, if hip hop is black culture, is it possible that gangster rap is a cancer that has metastasized in hip hop to the point where it pretty much controls and dominates its direction? So can we cut out the cancer of gangster rap, or do we have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, because at this point in history, are the two of them inseparable? Let me go a step further. Hip hop generates $16 billion annually. Performances, streams, merchandise. Are you trying to lead me to believe, not you, but the hip hop community? Are they really trying to convince Dr. Umar Ifatunde that there's absolutely nothing wrong at all for a piece of black culture known as hip hop to generate $16 billion a year, the most influential musical form on the face of the earth, And there is no systemic or structural benefit to black people at all. I'm not swallowing that pill. If all these other cultures can benefit from hip hop, if the music companies and moguls and CEOs and corporations can make all this money, why aren't you artists demanding that some of that money get redirected back to the black community? What has hip hop built? What problem has hip hop helped solve? What solutions has hip hop implemented into the black community to take us from where we are to where we need to be? And if you dare say that they don't owe us nothing because they're artists, they're rappers, it's not their job to fight racism, and I say nonsense. We've had actors who stood up for us. Muhammad Ali, look what he did for us. Dick Gregory, Harry Belafonte, we could go on and on. Nina Simone, we could go on and on of black people using their art as a weapon of liberation. So nobody's going to tell me that the gangster rapper, the hip hop artist, has no obligation to the black community, especially because, Brother Nick, the content of your music for at least 25 of your 30 years, at least 25 of your 50 years, half of hip hop history, our children have been indoctrinated with musical content that sexually objectifies and denigrates black women, that pushes European materialism and conspicuous consumption, that glamorizes, glorifies, and promotes black on black crime, mass incarceration, and that has painted a public image of black men that has helped society, government, police, and white power structure to destroy not only the image, but the lives of black men. So when I say what has hip hop done, especially given the negative images that y'all have sold into the minds of fatherless black boys, I have a right to know what hip hop has done. But more importantly, I have a right to know what hip hop is going to do. Because, Brother Nick, my biggest issue ain't what they've done. We can't go back. But in celebrating the 50th year of hip hop last year, I ain't heard a single conversation from no one with regard to what should hip hop be doing the next 50 years. Anything that is against the best interests of black people needs to be redeemed or destroyed. Fix hip hop. Make it what it should be, or throw it into the ash can of African history.
Heavy words. So in that, you spoke of past entertainers who utilize their art for liberation. But you also shared that Tupac is your favorite rapper.
Yes, he is.
Activist.
Yes.
True liberator.
Yes.
He speaks of it in his music.
Yes.
There's also other people who are cut from a similar cloth and exude that same energy, like the Nipsey Hussles of the world. And then even there's as the culture, because you make a great point there, there's so many prominent liberating voices that we've seen that have helped the black community, specifically in their art and what they've put together. So we wouldn't have the Tupacs, we wouldn't have the Nipseys, we wouldn't have the Kendricks, we wouldn't have the Chuck D's or the KRS-Ones who have inspired so many and so many movements if it wasn't for the culture. So in the same way that you acknowledge, Nina Simone and Harry Belafonte, we have to acknowledge those individuals that are truly creating movements and pathways for the next generation with those mindsets. Now, I understand you say it's not an even playing field because...
It absolutely not, because I don't know too many rappers who have done the kind of things that a Dick Gregory or a Harry Belafonte have done in
no.
terms of funding grassroots movements to fight racism head on. Nah, who done that?
There's a few.
Who?
There's definitely a few.
Who?
There's
Who? They too busy telling me Eminem is the GOAT. They ain't got time to do nothing else.
There's definitely a few that have put their, like you said, you know, maybe not having, but the banners, the Killer Mikes, the, you know, those individuals in which we know, the Commons of the world, the Black Thoughts.
And I don't want us to deflect from what hip hop has not done systematically to point out individuals who have done some good things.
The only reason why, because
that's
you
just
label
like somebody saying Dr. Umar is out here fighting to save black children from special ed and ADHD, right?
Right.
But you cannot say black psychology is out here fighting.
Indeed.
No, Dr. Umar is, and a few others. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So we got to make sure that we don't try to.
I was only saying that because you said, you know, when you spoke of the great Dick Gregory and Harry Belafonte and all those people, there's also individuals within hip hop that do have those missions. So, but I want
said some good things.
Yes.
Who have done a couple of soft activism things.
And we talked about soft activism.
I ain't seen no hard activism from no gangster rapper or no hip hop artist in a while. KRS-One is a jewel.
Yes.
You know, KRS-One is an exception.
Yes.
You have a few others.
Right.
You know, especially during the great heyday of positive hip hop, you know, from about the mid 80s to the mid 90s before gangster rap took over the genre. You know, you had a lot of positive, the X-Clans, the Poor Righteous Teachers, the Queen Latifahs. I mean, we had a whole era
of movement.
Nothing but conscious artists. And even the Playboys and the gangsters still had positive lyrics to them. So even when you look at a Big Daddy Kane or a Rakim, it might have been half gangster, but it was half conscious too.
Yeah,
so, you know, you couldn't listen to no
the
artist.
5%ers.
You couldn't really listen to an artist and not get at least 2 or 3 conscious songs.
So that's where I want to take it, because, I mean, you made an amazing point about, you know, culture versus cancer.
Culture versus cancer.
And we definitely, in order to grow the culture, you have to remove the cancer.
Got to remove the cancer.
So what needs to be removed from hip-hop, in your opinion?
Gangster rap, completely and
But
totally.
That's a little too vague. I want you to dig a little bit deeper just in that sense, because even the term gangster rap, which, you know, is...
Rap that degenerates black women, promotes black-on-black violence, conspicuous consumption, dysfunctional, irresponsible behavior. And I'm sure the definition can be broader.
Right.
But those are some of the things that I just think of at the top.
And that's so you're
the sexual objectification and the black-on-black crime is the 2 most important pieces.
And so specifically, because at this point, you're just talking merely about symbolism and lyrics.
Content.
Yeah. So
because content is what conditions our children.
But you would also say that the culture is bigger than just the content.
But remember what I said earlier.
Right.
Gangster rap dominates hip hop. Mainstream commercial hip hop is dominated by gangster rap, drill rap, all these negative rap forms.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I think that at a point in time, that was the case. But now the genre is so broad now that even currently, the women objectifying, and even now we're at a place where women are objectifying women in their music.
True. But the men were doing it way longer than them.
No, absolutely. But like women right now probably have the most prominent voice in hip hop. If you go to a nightclub right now as a DJ, I know the 80% of the hip hop songs that are played are women MCs.
I don't know, because I don't know too many women MCs who are top 10 sellers.
No, right now again, because there's levels to it. Obviously, like you have your superstars, which are, you know, and a lot of them are that's your Kendricks, your Drakes, and we're just talking currently. Like, you know, we have the individuals that are the superstars, but then everybody else, you got your Meg Thee Stallions, you got your Glorilla, you got your Nicki Minaj, you got your Cardi B. Yes. These are women in hip hop right now are the most dominant specifically in the messaging that's perpetuated out there, which is also liberating in itself because it's representing female empowerment.
Not if the content is destructive, it ain't liberating. But even with that being said, though, do you or do you not agree that there needs to be a purge within hip hop of gangster rap?
I don't like the term gangster rap.
What do you want to call it?
I mean, you know,
self-destruction rap?
Well, Tupac called it reality rap.
Okay, reality rap. Does there need to be a purge? Because I don't need to be told what I already live.
Why not? That's every music. That's every art form.
It's
a reflection of our society.
That's not who we are as a people, though. I don't care what the society does. Who are we? We cannot lose ourselves in what America is, because America is Sodom and Gomorrah. Who are we?
Well, I mean, the music is telling you who we are.
And what is that?
I mean, it's all the things that you dislike.
Absolutely. Purge it.
But in that, like, because that to me, and I know this isn't what you're doing, but it's coming off very Cosby-esque in that sense of when he got on his pedestal and was like, you got to pull up your pants and you got to do this and you got to do that, opposed to saying, here are the things that in which we need to do, where obviously, which I know you do when it comes to education, and getting back into those elements, but just to point the fingers at the young people or the culture,
no.
and just to say, we got to purge it. We got to
young people, because you got old people in hip hop still pushing the same narrative.
Well, okay.
You follow what I'm saying?
The energy of culture.
You got 50-year-olds still rapping gangster rap.
Right.
This ain't just no young thing.
Well,
it's the culture, period.
So in that, when you say...
the problem is, instead of trying to confront the culture, Brother Nick, we try to make every excuse we can to absolve hip hop of responsibility for the negative messages that is sent into the black community.
It's definitely sent negative messages into the black community. But you don't think
on top of the negative messages, it's a $16 billion industry, and the black community don't benefit from it at all.
Now that's the real issue.
They're both real. The content and the fact we don't get none of the cash. They're both real issues, and they need to be addressed.
But you do, because you also said it's...
And I've had rappers take issue with me, and when I said, what has hip-hop done to help, I'm not getting no real answers. Give me an institution, $16 billion a year, and y'all ain't built a school, and you got Negroes with $500,000 watches and sneakers, and you come from a ghetto with no real institutions? Negro, please.
How do we get there?
I think the culture is going to have to be self-cleansing and self-correcting. But I don't see that happening. You know why?
Why?
Because even the positive rappers don't have the courage or the guts to hold the gangster rappers accountable. They would have been done it. They could have been said, we're not doing that in this culture. You gatekeep in a culture.
Right.
It's like the Italian mafia. When the five families was warring,
right.
You know what they said? They had rules.
Right.
No women, no children, no old people.
Right.
No women, no children. If you kill a woman, a child, or an elder, even if it's accidentally, you die.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
You got to have rules. What are the internal rules? Because we know white folks benefit and exploit and dominate the genre. What are the internal rules that we are imposing upon ourselves within the hip-hop community to change the trajectory of the messages in the content?
I think people are fearful that that overall change, people wouldn't consume it. People wouldn't embrace it.
Money, right? Money.
Or even it falls on deaf ears.
If I don't act like a Negro in my music, it might not sell.
But again,
you said they might not listen to it. That's what you just said.
Right.
If it's positive, they might not listen to it. So if they're not listening to it, you ain't getting no ratings, you ain't getting no streams, you ain't getting no sales.
Can we go spiritual for a second?
So basically, you are willing to sell the community down the drain to make money.
So can we go spiritual for a second?
Let's go.
Because if we're just talking about energies, we know people are more likely to consume a low frequency than an elevated frequency, because that's where the majority of the people are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, for whatever reason, low frequencies vibrate a different, an attraction that we all can. It's easier to do bad. It's easier to embrace the negative. So when there's a few, as we spoke, that will elevate to a higher frequency, it's the majority is never going to assimilate to that, because that's rare. It's hard to get to that space. So if you know the masses are down here, the masses want to shake their ass, the masses want to talk about overindulgence in being intoxicated in whatever substance. And that, again, because you talk about financially where the culture resides, even whether we're talking religion, whether we're talking consciousness, it's always going to be more difficult to get the masses to elevate than to say, you know what, well, all right, I'm going to go ahead and make something where they shake their ass. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, give them something because everybody like to have a little drink after work. So we're going to make the song about drink, even though we know it's poison.
Here's the thing that we got to be clear on, Brother Nick. The responsibility of an artist is not just to reflect the reality that they have experienced. The responsibility of an artist is to project a new reality that you want the people to embrace. Do you follow me?
Right.
And a painter who lives in a ghetto,
right,
doesn't just paint about rape. They don't just paint about poverty. They don't just paint about single motherhood. They just don't paint about police brutality. They also paint an organized community. They paint a flourishing neighborhood. Because as an artist, my job is to get your attention by reflecting your reality and then projecting to a new earth, to a new way, to a new reality. Are you following me? So when a gangster rapper says, I'm only talking about what I lived, first of all, half y'all don't live it no more. Soon when y'all get money, y'all leave that life behind. So that's an excuse because you don't live it no more. So stop lying. That's number one. But number two, now that you got the people's attention, why not project a new reality for the people? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
What is the responsibility of the hip hop artist, the gangster rapper in particular, to project a new reality to their community? That's why I'm most disappointed. I don't see them using hip hop as a tool of political, economic, and cultural empowerment. I don't see that.
Right.
It's being used as a tool of conspicuous consumption, black female degradation, black on black crime, irresponsible behavior, mass incarceration, marijuana addiction. Why y'all not using this tool as a positive means of evoking change? And you have your KRS-One, you have Nas, you have some of them out there, but the general direction of hip hop,
but that's what
is not about saving the black community.
So
that's a lie.
If the majority of the people are on this frequency, yes, you're gonna get.
But hip hop can raise the frequency by changing the message.
That's my question. Like, can
art is influenced by, and art influences the people.
So
it's a bi-directional. We influence the art. Art influences us.
Because as someone who is out here on the circuit,
mm-hmm.
you're teaching, you leading,
mm-hmm.
activism strong.
Mm-hmm.
You know the uphill battle, and even with intellectuals in the conscious community in which you face.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we're talking about a community that is for pure entertainment and usually geared towards our young people to try to invoke edutainment or an ideology of intelligence
mm-hmm.
into something where we're ultimately just trying to enjoy ourselves.
Okay. Why does enjoyment have to come at the cost of community desecration? Who says enjoyment has to be negative? Why can't it be positive?
Well, as you know, I'm playing devil's advocate in this space.
Yes.
But if I'm an MC, if I'm a rapper, and I'm hearing Dr. Umar, I'm watching this, and I'm like, one, I don't relate to this dude.
They relate to me.
No, I'm just saying, playing devil's advocate.
They all relate to me.
Like,
they regurgitate my talking points. These rappers.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
They mention me. They know who I am.
Go with me for a second.
I got you.
In the sense of, this is another old head who's talking all that conscious stuff, but I'm out here getting money, talking about, you know, these chicks. I'm out here getting money, talking about this weight that I'm moving, these guns that I'm toting, and everybody's loving it. And this brother just doesn't understand what I'm going through, because now I'm putting food on my family's table. I'm making my music, which is getting me out of the lifestyle where I actually may have been wanting to resort to violence and poison my community with drugs. So at least I'm using this tool to get me and my people out of the hood by becoming an artist that's talking about it. But there's no way an individual who all he knows is the block, all he knows is the street, to just jump out and start attempting to be conscious, or attempting to be a intellectual in a space that all I'm speaking of is what I know. I can't be Dr. Umar. I don't know how to do what Dr. Umar is doing. So all I know is I know how to make chicks shake their ass. I know how to talk about, you know, my guns. I know how to talk about these drugs that I'm moving, my gang culture. That's all I know.
That same artist, and most artists don't make a lot of money, as you know. That same artist, if he's forced to get a job to take care of his child, he has to go work for the white man. The white man gonna tell him how to dress. The white man gonna tell him how to act. The white man gonna tell him how to talk. The white man gonna tell him what to do. Why doesn't he have the same difficulty transitioning from being a full-time gangster rapper to a full-time employee at a white business? They have no trouble pulling their pants up. No trouble using standard English. No trouble dropping the profanity. Why is it so hard to change the content of your music for your community?
Because the community
But you can change your whole behavior to go work for a white man. You know why?
Why?
Because you don't value your community. You couldn't care less. You're going to make money and get rich by any means necessary. And the collateral damage to the black community isn't even an afterthought for most of these selfish ass black artists. Not just the rappers, the actors, the comedians, the dancers, the politicians. Nobody in the black community is concerned about the collateral damage that their decisions have upon all of us.
I would love for you to give me a spiritual answer and stay in this space. That's where I keep going back towards, to where
I'll give you a spiritual answer. Black America is under demonic possession. Did you see that Lee Daniels movie called
Deliverance?
Deliverance.
Yes.
Now let me say, when Deliverance first came on, I was about to turn it off. I said, this is not another Tyler Perry type of cast all imagery of black people in a negative light film. Because you had dysfunctional mother, snow bunny mom, dysfunctional daughter, everybody. I said, I'm turning this off. And then when I saw that it was based on a true story, I said, let me follow this.
Right.
And the whole story was about the children who got possessed, right? House in Ohio, I think it was. That's real.
Yeah.
I believe hip hop has been possessed by a demonic entity. I believe the black church is possessed by a demonic entity. I think snow bunny hoppers are possessed by demonic entity. I'm serious.
I hear you.
We are God's chosen people, and the job of the devil when it comes to God's chosen people is to convince us to turn our backs on our divinity. There are beings that we cannot see. There is evil surrounding all of us, Brother Nick. You know this. It's in the music industry. It's in the hip-hop industry. It's in the conscious community. We are under demonic assault. We're not just fighting the things we see. We're fighting beings that we cannot see.
Indeed.
We are under demonic attack. We are under demonic possession. Our addiction to materialism, our addiction to sex, our addiction to nonsense, all of this behavior is being driven by demons.
And as we know,
There's a demon for every sin.
The devil is just to devalue. And,
Yes.
and in that sense, and that's why I'm glad you're touching on that, because if the masses is in this lower demonic state,
Mm-hmm.
how do we elevate in a spiritual sense?
Here's the thing. We can go to the spirituality, and we must. The problem, though, is it's going to be difficult to transform the people without transforming the music and the images within their culture. What you hear and what you see is primary when it comes to conditioning in people. You feel me?
Mm.
If we don't change the movies, the images, and the music, it's going to be hard to get our people back, because sound and image is the language of the soul. That's how you condition everything in your mind is stored as an image. Pictures are powerful. Motion pictures and still pictures. Music is powerful.
Mm.
Music is the language of the soul. So trying to save our people spiritually while they still listening to demonically possessed music and watching demonically possessed movies, that's going to be difficult to do.
Yeah.
We need another renaissance. We need a cultural renaissance. We need a cultural renaissance of positive music. We need a cultural renaissance of positive movies. We need a cultural renaissance of positive books. Black America needs a cultural renaissance like the Harlem Renaissance of the 1920s.
Mm.
We need to regain control of our art and regain control of our culture, because hip hop ain't under our control. Hip hop is dominated by the Caucasians in the music industry. They run hip hop. They decide what kind of music you're going to sell. It's not ours. I believe that there can be a hip hop movement that confronts gangster rap and replaces it. I would like to see something like that. But I'm not even hearing anybody talk about that. KRS-One is doing a good job. He's doing the best that he can. He don't have enough help, though. You know, let's just be honest. And I don't want to dump all this on the gangster rappers, because it's Black America, period. Most Black people, I don't care what industry they in, they might just drive the bus or work for the post office. Most Black people could care less about the collateral damage that their decisions have upon the community. We don't think about how what we do affects our own people. Everybody else does. We don't. We are selfish.
Wow.
Selfishness. Demonic possession. We are under demonic possession. And one of the reasons we don't get the help from God that we want, God cannot help us as long as we are functioning in a degenerative state. God is not going to free Black people just so you can imitate white people. God is not going to free Black people just so you can imitate white people. Until we go back to being who we are, we'll never get divine assistance. You can forget that. Why would God help Black people destroy white supremacy just so we can replicate white supremacy? Doesn't make any sense. Go back to being who you're supposed to be, and the universe will help you. Otherwise, we're going to be trapped in this for the next 200 years. Our children's children will be having the same conversations we're having because we are not willing to sacrifice. Black people are scared of the word sacrifice, Brother Nick. We don't want to sacrifice money, time, energy to get to where we want to be. Everything we've got through sacrifice. But we are no longer there. We are no longer there. That's why I always say, before we have a war with white supremacy, we got to have a war within the Black community for who wants change and who don't. A lot of our people comfortable. They don't want no change. They like where they are. Cell phone, nice car, nice house. Police killing a Black person every week. That's just what we get. We don't care. That's fine. Let them kill. They okay with the oppression as long as they comfortable. Most Black people are fine with white supremacy as long as they are comfortable.
Well said. I mean, like you said, we have to remove the cancer in order to grow the culture.
Is hip hop Cancer or culture?
Well, in the comments, you can answer that question for yourself. Continue to like and subscribe. This has been another amazing session with the one and only
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Umar Johnson.
Yes, sir, brother.